Hello, and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today, the album we are going over is The Beatles from 1968 by The Beatles. This is usually referred to as the White Album due to the cover, which is very minimalist. You may be surprised to learn that they were doing minimalist stuff back in the 60s. It just wasn't as popular. So this is the track listing. This is a triple album or like a quadruple album kind of. As you can see, the total tracks here is 30. And there's four sides. So this is like the original it's not the original, but like this is one of the big double album sort of things that people do occasionally, but not too often. And the reason is because it's a lot of songs, but often they end up a little mixed up and it's hard to get like a good solid sort of album out of it when you have this many tracks. Similar thing happened with Imagine Dragons Mercury Act 1 and Act 2. So these are all the songs that I added. So you can see I've added a lot of songs, but in terms of Beatles albums, this is actually a lower percentage. Usually, I'll add pretty much every song. Like for most of the other albums, I've added almost every song except for maybe like one or two. For this one, we're missing like four off of this side, three off of this side, four off of this side, two off of this. Like so, this is a lower percentage, but it is more songs due to the total amount of songs. There were no singles off of this album because that wasn't something that they did all the time back in the 60s. And my favorite song is probably Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except Me and My Monkey, which is one of the longest song names ever. Um, Probably tied with The Police's When the World is Running Down, You Make the Best of What's Still Around, which is the full title name of that song. And that's probably my favorite. Um, Close seconds are Back in the USSR, up here. Birthday is really good. I like Revolution 1, um, but I don't think I like it enough. I think I like all the other some of these other ones better. Um, Overall, this album is a lot, and some of it's not great. And I think the problem is it's too big to be considered like as an album. Like if we were to consider like this would just be a pretty decent album. This would be a pretty good album. This would be a pretty good album. This would be a pretty good album separately. But together, it's hard to appreciate the songs that aren't as good when the album is so big and there's still a lot of songs on here. Like if we were to just take the ones I've grabbed from the album and put them sort of together, I feel like we might get something that's a little more palatable. Um, but so this ranks third among all of the Beatles albums because even the Beatles sort of mixed up and not really as an album is still pretty good. I mean, basically all the songs on this album are decent in one way or another, although some of them are pretty funky. Um, and I think the ones that are better than the White Album are just the ones that come together as albums more, right? Like Revolver and Sgt. Pepper's. Um, the ones that are below it are the ones that don't come as well together as albums, except for maybe Rubber Soul. Rubber Soul is just I don't think is just as good, but Abbey Road and Let It Be are definitely sort of in the same vein of like they just don't come together as well. Uh, this is my favorite album from 1968 because it is the only album I've listened to from 1968 at this point in time. So that's a freebie. But I would expect like that this is a pretty tough competitor in regards to future albums. But overall, I mean, it's still good. The only problem is like the length. It's kind of almost an investment to listen to this album. It's a decent, like it's a pretty good investment, but if you're gonna listen to Beatles, you might as well just listen to something like Rubber Soul or Revolver that's shorter but still as good, right? Like this is not the White Album isn't any worse than any of their other stuff, but it is longer. So like, if you really like the Beatles and you want more, do the White Album. But if you just want some of the Beatles and you can just go for some of their other stuff. But next up, we will be having something special. But first, I have a special announcement. This August 7th is the birthday of my big playlist, Michael's Minty Music. Uh, I created it back in 2018, so this is the 4-year birthday of the album. Um, and this Friday, I will be starting a special sort of thing that we will be going over through the month of August and into the first week of September. That will be, I will announce on Friday. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It will be very exciting, and I will not be releasing a review on Sunday for celebration of the birthday. I'm going to take a break for that one, but Friday you will get a very cool special announcement that you should definitely check out. So